Hey everybody. This is Young Living Diamond Sarah Harnish, and I'm super excited for tonight. It has been a long time in the making on this class. You are joining me for the feelings class from the Game Plan Oils script book, and this is the very first time that I have taught this class. So this is our debut of the class, and I'm pretty excited about it. So what am I teaching out of? Teaching out of a new book that just went to print, and it's got 25 oils classes in it. And number 9 is the feelings class. It's based off of the feelings kit. So it's script 109, and I'm going to jump right in. Every single one of these scripts, we release a PowerPoint and we make it available to you for free to be able to do your own teaching. So this is a pretty neat one because it's all an emotional release. So if you guys are looking for a way to supercharge your business this summer, get your product users plugged in, get them excited all over again, this is a great way to do it because you're training on things that most people have not studied heavily. How to blend, a whole class on Gary Young, animal aromatherapy, massage for couples. There's so many topics, 25 full classes in a single book. So normally on Tuesdays, we teach a class. Wednesdays, we break out the mini, which is a little tiny tool that markets you and what you can teach. And then on Thursdays, we train on the workbook. But this week's going to be a little different because I have a daughter and a son that are about to get married a couple weeks apart. And tomorrow is dress hunting day. So I'm flying to Missouri to go be part of the dress hunt, which I'm super excited about. So I'm going to teach a class and do the mini tonight. And we're going to do 2 things with 1 stone. So at the end of the class, stick around. I am going to do a whole bunch of giveaways for some of these script book resources, just as a thank you for getting on and being excited about the class. So where do you access the PowerPoints? You will find them on my website, Oil Ability with Sarah. It's oilabilityteam.com. And if you click on share, you'll see the script book, and all of them are underneath the script book. We got people on from Indiana and Florida and all over the world. So let's jump right in to, Lorraine says my book just came today. Yeah, you can find my book up on my website, oilabilityteam.com, or you can find it on Amazon. It is a huge blessing to me if you guys leave reviews because authors live on reviews. So we take all the capital from these projects and we put them into the next project. So all of my books are zero profit books. It just allows us to sit down and generate more tools for you guys. So I'm already in the process of writing the second script book with a Candida script and with a frequency of oil script that you can turn around and teach to your team. So my goal is that you have rip and read content. You can just pull the class right out, sit down, read it, click on the PowerPoint. And it's easy and you look good. And it's just a simple duplicatable system that anybody can use. So that said, let's jump right into the feelings class. I am going to share my screen. While I'm in screen share mode, I can't see your comments. So while I'm playing videos, I'll pop back and forth so that I can see. Oh, look isn't that great? It always freezes your face at like the best time. I'm going to share my screen, and this is your first look at the feeling script. This one takes about an hour to teach, and then we'll take a couple of minutes and go through the mini. So that's our plan for tonight. I have pulled out the pages from the teacher's edition. So there's 4 different books in this set. There's an oiler edition, which is meant for reading. You just put it on your nightstand, read a couple of pages each night. There's a workbook that brings that script to life. It puts the script to action. Then there's a mini, which markets you. All 25 classes are teased in this mini. Gets them excited about coming to other classes. And then there is a teacher's edition, which is the same as the oiler edition, but it's got large print. It lies flat. It's got dividers between the classes. So it's just very easy for you to be able to just pull out the one class you need and teach. So right on the inside cover, there's something very, very special. There's a story inside every single script from a different diamond in Young Living. These are not my stories. These are stories that the diamonds have generously donated to this project. Their photos, their memories of Gary, because, honestly, we have what we have because of this man. Like he went out and did things that were very, very hard when nobody believed in oils. And there were no oils being distilled in the United States. And all the material out there was written in French. And, you know, he was a trailblazer that built this $2 billion oils company that is blessing millions and millions of people around the world. And we wouldn't have what we have were it not for Gary. And we're sitting here 3 years out from his passing. And I feel like if you and I aren't out there telling the stories about Gary Young, who's going to tell the stories? Who's going to keep the founder of this company alive? So I feel convicted as a diamond to collect the stories from those who traveled with him and had experiences with him, and then give them to you guys so you could open your classes with Gary Young. So this is the little story that we have. This one's from April Pointer, who's a Royal Crown Diamond, a sweet, precious friend of mine from Dallas, Texas. She's just a sweetheart. And she shares a story that she had about Gary Young and sandalwood oil. So this is a quote from April. She said, "This is a memory of Gary literally rolling up Royal Hawaiian Sandalwood, or rolling in Royal Hawaiian Sandalwood back in 2013 at the Silver Retreat at the St. Mary's Farm. It was the first time that he'd been able to distill this, and it was sent to the farm in big bark hunks. We distilled the chunks and got no oil. His wheels were turning, and he rented a wood chipper. And after that, we got tons of oil. The first batch of Royal Hawaiian Sandalwood. He was like a kid at Christmas. He jumped in that next cooker that was ready to distill, and he was rolling around in the sandalwood sawdust. Y'all, he had the biggest smile ever. And he went on and on about all the people this new species of sandalwood would help. He told us all the things that he believed it would be good for. I'll post 2 more pictures from this to give you a better perspective. Overall, he wanted badly to discover new oils and new tools to fix, save, and rescue the world. He had the biggest heart and truly, truly believed in his product. He wanted to change the world with it. A man with so much grit, determination, and fearlessness, and yet the softest, kindest, biggest yellow personality on the planet. He had a lot of red, but he also had a lot of yellow. I miss that man." So there's Gary Young rolling around in his first vat of sandalwood oil. And with that, we're going to jump right into the feelings class, but I thought it'd be kind of fun if we started with a little video. So when you are teaching your class, this is the introduction to opening up the feelings class. And these PowerPoints are going to be slightly different than the scripts because the scripts don't have the videos in them. They're meant to be taught just by reading. But if you're utilizing the PowerPoints, you can choose to put the videos in if you want when you're teaching. So I'm going to start right at the beginning. Welcome to the 109 Game Plan Oils Script Book Feelings class. Before we jump into the class, let's have a little bit of fun. Have you ever had a hard time pronouncing oils names? Some of the single oils used to make the blends in the feelings kit can be really hard to say, like ylang-ylang. So let's leave it to the pros, and I would like you to watch this short little 1-minute video with me on how to say the names of the oils.
Did you make these up, or are these actual words?
No way. Okay.
Helichrysum.
You say it faster, I heard it goes better. Nobody knows you've done it wrong. Copper.
Copaida. Copaiba.
Bergamot. Yeah, I don't know.
Maluka antifolia. Maluka alternative.
Melaleuca.
Molecular electronifolia. Some L.
Wylang. Long.
Young. That's not a real sound.
Helichrysum.
Copaiba.
Melaleuca alternifolia.
Ylang.
That's it, huh? I got it. No, I didn't get it.
Nope, didn't get it. So ylang-ylang, that's one of the oils that we're going to be studying tonight. It's just a fun way to kind of kick off your class. So here we go. No plant can live if the root is cut away. That's by Louise Hay in her book, Heal Your Body. So when I started oiling, I believe that oils were a pretty smell in a diffuser or just relaxing to the mind, like lavender during a massage. It's because the oils that I've been using were not authentic. You don't want something distilled with chemical solvents to make them smell better. It's like adding those chemicals right into your drinking water. I thought all oils were the same, and I was wrong. One of the most powerful uses of essential oils is for the brain. It is for emotions, and that's where I think oils really get to show off. I use the word authentic because you don't want anything in your diffuser that you don't want in your brain. If you have tainted, cheap oil, you better toss that stuff out. One of my friends said, I love Young Living and I only use their Vitality line in my drinking water. But sometimes when I'm diffusing, I will end up using some of their cheaper oils. Why? Why would you do that? That's the one place you don't want to use cheap oil. You see, when you diffuse an oil, you get it into the body faster than any other method. Not to mention, you don't just get it into any part of the body, you get it right into the center of the human brain in about 3 seconds. It takes 26 seconds to absorb if you're applying it to the skin topically, working through the 7 layers of the skin and the muscle tissue and past the body's natural defense systems to get into the bloodstream. From there, it's dispersed through the circulatory system, which also filters through the liver. So if you take an oil internally, it has to bypass more bodyguards. Oil taken internally goes right into the gut, and the hydrochloric acid in the stomach breaks it down before it gets absorbed through the colon walls. You've got enzymes in the mouth and in the gut lining in the tract that are breaking things down. Oils diffused into the air, however, will bypass just about everything. They enter through the nasal cavity, they pass the olfactory membranes at the top of the nose, and they go right through the blood-brain barrier. They are fast moving. So I don't know about you, but I do not want to give oils, cheap oils, quick access to my brain. So these tiny molecules do what? What do they do? Well, part of the reason that they work so well, oils, is because of their size. Oil molecules are smaller than viruses, and that means that they can cross the blood-brain barrier and have access to the limbic lobe of the brain, which is the emotional control center to the entire human body. It's like the dashboard to your car. You can check on your gas and your oil and your speed and just about everything at a single glance. The limbic lobe is the place where I would hang out if I were working on my emotions. If I had to choose a second spot for some work on my emotions, it would be the gut. And that class is coming a little bit later in our boot camp. So do you have a grumpy kid? Do you handle stress poorly? Does an incident from your childhood still have you afraid of the dark? Do you get tense in a room with a lot of people? Are there painful memories that you hold on to that you're sure are keeping you from moving forward? Do you find yourself at the mercy of your emotions to the point where they affect your day-to-day life? Well, if that's the case, then you're in the right place. It's not that any one oil is going to cure the things that I listed above, but they will get into the limbic lobe and they will do some purging that will allow the body to do its own healing. And that's the science of emotional oiling. And we'll get to that in just a little bit. So oiling on autopilot. The goal is to get you oiling without thinking about it and to be using really good oils, right? The ones that you want in the limbic lobe of your body, the good ones. We want to make oiling instinctive to you. And I think the biggest issue is that we just forget to turn the diffuser on. It's not that we don't think it'll be amazing. We're just busy. And I get that. I mean, that's why I want to get you to a place where you're oiling on autopilot. It just becomes part of your routine and you do it without thinking. You walk in the door from work and you have a cup of water sitting next to your diffuser with the oil that you want ready to go. And in 60 seconds, your living room is filled with Harmony oil. I've included a quick 1-page emotional release protocol at the end of this book. And there's also a scavenger hunt calendar at oilabilityteam.com under share, and under the Game Plan Oil script book, we're going to release all that in a media package on Thursday. And it's just to get you oiling and diffusing oils every single day, no matter how busy you may be. The more you oil, the more you're working on your emotions. Half of the battle is just getting the diffuser to the on position, especially if you're emotionally spent. If you're feeling a bit overloaded and you have the feelings collection, I want you to grab some present time oil and just take a whiff of it. It's amazing. It's my favorite oil for focusing on the here and now and getting my eyes going where they need to be. So let's start with the tools to emotionally release. So for that, we got to go with the big dogs. Young Living founder D. Gary Young developed the Feelings Collection, and that collection has 6 5-milliliter bottles of emotional oil, including Harmony, Forgiveness, Inner Child, Present Time, Release, and Valor. Valor oil, if you've got it, open it up, give it a whiff. If I was in front of you right now, I would be passing these around so you could smell them. What I would tell you is put Valor oil on the soles of both of your feet at night, along with the highest potential oil blend. These blends were created to erase limited feeling. and limited thinking. Valor balances and equalizes the body's energy. So you wake up in the morning more self-assured to start your day. Harmony. So for this one, you're going to massage 1 drop of Harmony oil along the 7 points of the body that follow the spine. So the coccyx, the sacrum, the lumbar, the dorsal, which is where your heart is, cervical, which is where your neck meets your shoulders, the medulla, which is the hollow place at the center base of the skull. And you can find that pretty easily. If you feel the back of your head right in the center, you'll feel your skull bone. And right under that is a soft spot. That's where your medulla is. Then the pineal, which is the center of the forehead right here. You can also massage Harmony on the crown of the head. People think the crown is the very top. If you were to put a hat on your head and slide it back a little bit, that's the crown. If you were to drop oil, it actually starts sliding off the back of your head. So it's not perfectly on the top of your head. So you can massage Harmony at the crown of the head. Harmony balances the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems, which gives us feelings of confidence. The biggest sin is not having confidence in yourself, says Gary. He who lacks confidence lacks life. Forgiveness is the next oil. Oh, but before we get to that, did you know that ylang-ylang is one of the oils that is inside Harmony Blend? And I always love just pulling little videos from Young Living's website and giving you a little tease of some of the stuff that they have put together. So let's pause for 60 seconds and learn a little bit about ylang-ylang. I can almost smell it just thinking about what they told us to do. But I love one of the things they told you to do in that video was to put it over your heart, which was one of the points that we just talked about with Harmony oil. So that's kind of cool. So another oil that's in the in this feelings kit is forgiveness. This is a very powerful oil. So you will apply forgiveness oil around the navel with the right hand, going clockwise several times. And think of situations where you need to forgive yourself or others. We beat up on ourselves, but everybody makes mistakes. Unforgiveness is one of the most common roots of physical, mental, and spiritual disease. Unforgiveness doesn't mean making the offending party sick. It makes us sick. So it's not going to make the person that you're irritated with angry. It's actually going to hurt you. So Gary has this little forgiveness protocol. He says, number 1, forgive yourself for allowing the person to affect your health and happiness. Number 2, forgive the other person for any harm that he or she may have caused you. And this need not be done directly with the person being forgiven, but more as an inner adjustment on your part. Number 3, give the other person permission to forgive you. Number 4, see the good in the situation. So step back and say, okay, what can I pull out of this that was positive? Number 5, be thankful for the experience that the lesson has taught you. And then inhale and apply forgiveness oil while going through these steps. Guys, this is powerful. This would be a good slide to take a picture of. I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger for you so that you can see it really big. Take a picture of that with your cell phone. So you've got it tonight and you can kind of rehash this because everybody's got something in their heart that is just like, ouch, you know, I do need to let that go. I shouldn't be holding on to that. Then what I would tell you to do is to repeat this as often as necessary to clear the feelings of unforgiveness. So say it, just say it to yourself. You know, I forgive myself for being angry at this person. I forgive, you know, this person and name them by name. I'm no longer going to hold on to those emotions anymore. And then I give the other person permission to forgive me. You know, Lord, they may not hear that I'm upset with them. They might not even know that I'm hurting right now. But God, I just give that space that if you sway their heart, Please give them the space to be able to forgive me in this situation. And then what can I see out of this? What is something positive that came out of this? It seems like everything's bad, but God, you say in your word that you turn all things for good. Not some things, not a couple things, but all things for good. So what is the good in this situation? And then number 5, be thankful for what the experience has taught you. So Lord, thank you for the experience of walking through that pain. It hurt more than anything I've ever felt in my life, but I don't think that I would be the person I am today if I had not gone through that pain. I couldn't turn around and help the other people behind me. So God, thank you for the pain. Thank you for the loss. Thank you for the grief. Thank you for the things that I've learned. Thank you for the hurt. It's really hard to thank the Lord for hurt, really super hard. But you know what? He takes us through everything for a reason. And sometimes it doesn't always seem like it's to benefit us at the beginning. Sometimes it's a path that we're going to cross with somebody else, and we have to be able to be there for them. And that's okay. All right, it's okay. So release oil is the next oil in the feelings kit. So negative energy goes into the blood, and then it goes into the liver, where those toxins can remain trapped, and the liver becomes a storage place for anger, resentment, bitterness, hatred, jealousy, envy, addictions, and a whole host of destructive feelings. So just apply a few drops of release oil over the liver area and drink a lot of pure water and do a liver cleanse. My favorite is the Miracle Gallbladder and Liver Cleanse by Andreas Moritz. Present Time is the next oil. So I'm going to just say the name of that book again, The Miracle Gallbladder and Liver Cleanse. It's on Amazon. It's like $7. It's a really, really good cleanse. Present time. So when we live in the past or we dwell in the future, we're not being productive in the present. Gary says to energize 3 drops of present time by making clockwise circles. You always want to go with this, with the direction the DNA is traveling, with the oil in the palm of your hand, and then apply it to your thymus, the gland just under your sternum or your breastbone. And it's going to keep you focused on the tasks of today. So, Gary's like, hey, don't live in the past. Don't dwell in the future. You need to be productive in the present. Then inner child. Gary Young said, when you're a child, all things are possible. There are no limitations. When you find your inner child, you have found your true self. The child in you is in your creativity. So apply 1 drop of inner child on the crown of the head. And now you know where the crown is, because we just talked about it. So let's run through those steps again. This takes less than 10 minutes, and you could probably do it in 2 minutes when you get really good at it. And if you do it for 30 straight days, you have done what Gary has called his emotional release protocol. So this is actually Gary's quick way of, processing the emotions that you're feeling. If you're in a place where you cannot let something go, or you are harboring unforgiveness in your heart, whoops, let me get out of that. Or you're just feeling very broken, or maybe you just come through a major life event and you're just like, hey, I don't want to move to the next thing. Like, my kids are leaving. I don't want to be in that moment where I'm processing my kids leaving. Like, I don't want them to go, or I just lost my father. I don't want to think about that right now. And you get to a place where you realize, gosh, I don't like the way I feel every day. I don't like who I become every day. I don't like being depressed in bed every day. I don't like, the person that I am when I'm trying to process these emotions. Then it's time to let some of it go. And this is Gary's way that he did it. So real quick, step 1, valor on the feet. Step 2, harmony on your crown. Step 3, forgiveness on the navel. Step 4, release under the tongue. Step 5, present time on your thymus. And step 6, inner child on the crown. And Leviticus 14:8 says, and the priest shall put some of the oil that is in his hand on the lobe of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, and in the place where the blood of the guilt offering was put. That's pretty cool. So Gary says, use the feelings collection morning and night for 30 days. You will feel enthusiastic and you will feel magnetic. Do it and see how you feel. One of the reasons I believe that these oils work so well is the time that Gary put in to making sure that they were sourced correctly. So this is a pretty old video. This one goes all the way back to 2014, but I love showing some old Gary Young in my classes. So watch Gary, the innovator, as he's out in the fields trying to get the best oil for you.
Although people have been growing, harvesting, and distilling essential oil botanicals for thousands of years, Gary Young knew he needed to improve these existing systems if he were going to accomplish his goal of bringing essential oils to the world. With the natural differences between crops of botanicals, Gary made many adjustments and modified his system according to what he observed. The early years of harvesting botanicals and distilling essential oils brought about many changes, transforming the process from traditional, familiar approaches to new, innovative, and much more efficient production methods.
And I'm on the job bringing the best balsam oil in the world to you.
It's all about discovery. You take the risks you have to take to get the information that you want. D. Gary Young. I just absolutely love that man. So let's talk a little bit about the science of how oils work in the brain. What is going on behind the scenes that make it so effective? Like, how can you smell stress away and all of a sudden feel really good when you were ready to punch your kid's throat, 10 seconds earlier? Emotions are a topic that are not well understood. How does an oil have access to the brain? Before we look at each oil individually, and I give you 2 more protocols for releasing emotions, assisted and unassisted. So you're actually going to get 3 emotional release protocols. I gave you the easiest one first. We're going to take a look at some science and lay a strong foundation for your belief system in oils. Always on overload. I once read that the average Chicago Tribune Sunday newspaper contains more content than what a person in the 1800s would experience in a 100-year lifetime. That paper is significantly smaller than the amount of data your kids are looking at in a span of a week, all on social media and social networking platforms that are out there, right? We're inundated with content and have some type of an emotional reaction at every turn. Our body builds emotional responses to things that we see and read and hear and experience. And now we have stored responses that can repeat again and again and again as our cells duplicate and copy bad information that's been stored. Essential oils assist with barriers. So if you look at a single molecule, it contains hundreds of constituents. Some of them go by names like aldehydes or esters. Those 2 in particular are calming to the central nervous system. They allow us to relax instead of the body building and storing emotions. One reason that the oils work for emotions is simply because of the constituents that they're naturally made of. These little molecules help the plants process stress. Plants deal with stress all the time. They have to weather storms, bacteria, fungus, wind, flooding, droughts, insects, like all of it. God created them with oleoresins containing constituents to keep them safe. So why not harness that for human emotions? How do emotions work? So what happens when you have a strong emotion? Say you find out that your 15-year-old daughter is pregnant, that your mom was in a car accident, or that your home has caught on fire. Scientists tell us that they can visibly see the emotion hit the brain like a pebble tossed into a lake. There are ripples across the surface of the brain the second that the news is heard. It's a physical effect of something emotional. But aren't emotions just emotions? I cry and it's over. I tuck it away. I forget the pain of something hard. That's absolutely not the way that the body was designed by God. This we can see significantly in the human body. You might try to block an emotion because it's uncomfortable, but most of the time that emotion is getting stored somewhere in your body. So when an emotion happens, your body enacts a fight or flight sense, and it activates the endocrine system. Your hormones kick into high gear and they flood your body with adrenaline. You could visibly see it happen if you had a strong enough microscope. It's trauma. We felt that when our heart rate is elevated watching our favorite sports team, but what happens after the trauma? Well, the body releases some of it and it ignores some of it and it stores some of it as far from the brain and the heart as it can. Some of it is left to fester like wounds that never heal. Did you know that the average cell can expand up to 600 times its size with toxins? When we think of toxins, we often think of just using bad shampoo or making some not so great choices at the local ice cream shop, but emotions can be toxic too. The memory storage gets flooded with hormones that cause the emotion getting recalled again and again. Sometimes it triggers lifelong health issues like panic attacks and anxiety. Some would argue that toxins stored in certain parts of the body can cause actual pain, like back pain. They can get stored in weak places where you already have injuries. Dr. John Upledger calls wounds like this somato-emotional cysts. He said that they're a defense response that's encoded, walled off from the rest of the body, and never resolved. The human body is designed to protect itself. Have you ever thought of emotions like this before? It's a hormone, or a physical response to something emotional. The idea that emotions can be physically Stored is a bit of an unusual concept. So let me explain it in simpler terms that you're familiar with. The body takes these kinds of protective measures all the time. You're aware of some of them: kidney stones, liver stones, gallstones. They're a buildup of toxic substances that can calcify into a hardened stone or have a chemical reaction that encapsulates them in organs, causing trouble. We've just never thought of any of the toxins that start some of these stones as emotions. Dr. Candace Pert says, quote, "Your physical body can be changed by the emotions you experience." She says, quote, "A feeling sparked in our mind or body," this is a doctor, guys, that I'm quoting, "will translate as a peptide being released somewhere." A feeling sparked in your body will translate as a peptide being released somewhere. Organs, tissues, skin, muscle, and endocrine glands, they all have peptide receptors on them and can access and store emotional information. This means that the emotional memory is stored in many places in the body, not just in the brain. You can access emotional memories anywhere in the peptide receptor network in any number of ways. Unexpressed emotions are literally lodged in the body. By simply acknowledging emotions, they are expressed. In being expressed, emotions can be released, even old emotions stored in body memory. Allowing my emotions to surface into awareness is the beginning of emotional exploration. I'm moving forward to find my position in my family, in my community, and in my life. You can literally have emotions stored just about anywhere. The chub in your thighs, across your abdomen, under your arms, anywhere that the body wants to put it away from your vital organs, your heart, your lungs, your brain. Are you having a hard time getting rid of a fat roll? It might have an emotional root. So let's walk this forward just a little bit more. Are your guys' minds totally blown here? Because when I started studying this stuff, I was like, what? Like, I've never even thought of this before. So D. Gary Young said that 99% of emotions are made from feelings. If you want your life to be guided by good decisions that lead to health, happiness, and fulfillment, you need to be aware of and in control of your present feelings and feelings of the past. It has been said that when there's a conflict between reason and feeling, human beings will always side with feeling. So how do emotions affect your physical body? Many doctors are recognizing that a number of diseases are caused by emotional problems that link back to infancy and perhaps even to the womb. That's from the Essential Oils Desk Reference, 3rd edition, page 233. The content that I'm going to throw at you next is pretty abstract. So if I haven't lost you guys already, hold on tightly because I'm going to throw something even weirder at you. It is so unusual that I'm actually going to cite science for the next few minutes just to make sure that you're on the same page with me. It falls in the category of stuff we don't talk about at dinner. So just walk with me, because if you studied this book in order, you have already discovered the electricity discussion from the raindrop class. So you have got this. You can hang with me, all right? Forgotten traumatic experiences often affect every aspect of our lives, even how we make decisions. We'll be limited by fear and self-worth. So if you focus on those feelings, Gary says you can fix most aspects of your life. Oils pass into the emotional brain and bring us to things that we have long forgotten so that we can deal with them. Once we clear our emotional baggage, we can move forward. Gary says thought equals frequency. Oils are registered in the body as intent or directed energy. When you apply an oil to your feet, it can saturate the cells within 60 seconds. It can stimulate creative thinking and push negative energy out of the cells and increase your frequency. Forgetting the memories. People often ask me if they have an emotional release session, does it mean that they will not remember the memory anymore? No, that's not true. You're going to flush the pain of the memory out of your cells and the emotion that comes with it, anger, bitterness, sadness, etc. It may take dozens of uses of the oil to accomplish this. However, the memory of what happened remains. I can actually give a personal example of this. Me, Sarah Harnish, speaking directly to you. This part of the script is in italics. So if you ever come across something in italics, it's me talking directly to you as Sarah, and you can read my testimony if you want to in the class, or you can skip it. So when I was a little girl, I was hurt by my babysitter's husband at night. Since I was 3, I've been afraid of the dark. After several emotional release sessions, I realized that I could park my car for a shift that started at 4 a.m. and walk through a dark parking lot without my heart rate increasing. And I remembered what happened. So the memory of being hurt by my babysitter's husband was not erased, but the emotion that caused my stress was gone. That part had been released. So how do you do an emotional release session? There's two different types of emotional release. There's assisted and there's unassisted. So I'm going to run through the first very briefly with you, but for practical reasons, most of this class is going to focus on you learning to use your oils at home. So assisted emotional release means that you work with an aromatherapist or somebody who knows the raindrop technique and can do it with the emotional oils or with an emotional release specialist over several sessions. Emotions are like layers of an onion. It can take dozens of times to peel each layer back. In an emotional release session, you're going to lay on a massage table as if you're doing a raindrop session. And an aromatherapist is going to work on your feet and your head and your occipital lobe and your spine using grounding oils, release oils, and grounding oils again. So when an emotion is released, it can look a bunch of different ways. I've seen people start sneezing uncontrollably. I've seen them start crying. Your body will use the excretory system to get rid of toxins. So you might start sweating. I've also seen people break into laughter or get a twitch when an emotion is released. I had one woman during a raindrop start hiccuping like 2 minutes into the raindrop, and she hiccuped until I put Valor on her at the very end, and then she just stopped. So her release was hiccuping for an hour and a half. So for this session, I would do a raindrop opening with Valor oil, but instead of using oregano and thyme as the topical oils after Valor, I would use the Feelings collection in order. So first on the feet, then the spine, closing with Ortho Ease oil to seal it in, and then finally White Angelica. So it would look like this. Step one, you would do your Valor balancing. Then the next step, you would foot Vitaflex. But when you're doing your Vitaflexing, you would use the oils in this order: Valor, then Harmony, Forgiveness, Inner Child, Present Time, and Release. Then you would hold the sheet up for privacy and have them roll onto their back, and I know, or on their tummy. I know I'm going through this very quickly. If you want to see demonstrations of each of these techniques, all you have to do is go to my website at oilabilityteam.com, and you can click on the raindrop class under the script book, and you'll see close-ups of each of these techniques. All right, we won't be using the Feelings kit, but you just sub in the Feelings kit for the raindrop kit instead. So then you're going to raindrop the emotional oil. So you will be dropping using the feathering technique 3 times in 3-inch increments, then 6-inch increments and 12-inch increments, using all of the emotional oils and feathering straight to sides and then doing full-length strokes. And then you can add additional oils if you feel that you need to. Then you'll do some of the techniques in raindrops. So finger circles, I would do a Cypress thunder shower to drive the oils in, 3-6-12 feathering, thumb Vitaflex, finger straddle saw, the stretch and rock technique, and then give them a little Ortho Ease massage where you're just, driving all of those oils deeper into the spine. And wrap it up with the palm slide or the Indian rub where you're going both ways up and down the spine, and then end with Valor and peppermint on the spine, an occiput pull, and put a hot towel down on them and let them cook for a couple of minutes to wrap up the raindrop. I also like to put some White Angelica on their shoulders, almost like a Valor balancing, but with White Angelica at the end, or at the very least, just let them smell it, because White Angelica is a spiritually protective oil. It's going to help to emotionally seal what you've done. I went through that very quickly with you guys because it's something you have to have done on you. So go back to my raindrop training and sub in the emotional oils for that training in that PowerPoint. And that would be what an assisted emotional release would look like. You use a hot compress, you let them rest, and you can give them Ningxia and measure them just like you would if you were doing a raindrop. So now the other one is called unassisted emotional release. And the second one is one that you can do at home. And it's a lot simpler, not as simple as Gary's little emotional release protocol with the Feelings kit, but it's still pretty easy. So there's 3 different ways to use your oils: internally, which follows the French model; topically, which follows the British model; and diffusing, which follows the German model. So after about 15 minutes, your cell receptor sites at the top of your nose get full and they cannot receive new information. So that's why you smell cookies in the oven, but then you can smell them again 10 minutes later when somebody walks into the room, right? You need to give, you got to give your receptor sites a break to absorb new information. So you might smell them, then you don't smell them for a while, and you walk out, and you walk back in, and you can smell them again. It's because your cell receptor sites have let all that information in, it's processed it, and now they're open to receive new information. So the most effective way to use oils with emotions is to diffuse in 15-minute increments, or to leave the room every 15 to 30 minutes if you're running a diffuser constantly. That way your cell receptor sites can absorb that particular oil. If you're just letting a diffuser run at the end of a long day, don't sweat it. If you've had a long day and you need some targeted emotional oils, just turn it on and turn it off. So the second but extremely effective way to use oils is topically placing them on your VitaFlex points. So your body has thousands of VitaFlex access points. Those are nerve endings in your hands and feet, and they run down your spine and they run to every organ in your body. When you place an oil there, it shoots right up the nerve and it goes to that organ. So here's an example of some of the more common emotions and their companion oils. So if you're feeling angry, or you're feeling useless, or you're feeling vulnerable, or you're feeling like a victim, or you're feeling lazy, you would apply an oil in a specific place. So for this, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. There's a book out there by Dr. Carolyn Mean. She's a phenomenal woman, very, very well researched, and it's called Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils. So she tells you the emotion and then she tells you where to put the oil. So that's what I would do. Do it for 30 days, every single day before you go to bed. Figure out what emotion you're feeling and then put an oil right on that spot. Or if you have one emotion you just can't seem to release, just focus on that one area for 30 days. So here's an example of 20 common emotions, their companion oils, and where you would place them, taken right out of Dr. Carolyn Mean's book. And I would recommend you go get this on Amazon. You can get it on Life Science Publishing. It's a phenomenal read. It'd be one of my favorite summer reads if you guys haven't read this book yet. So Australian Blue, that's an oil for disgust. You would put that on your bronchial airways. Awaken is an oil for hopelessness. You would put it on your bones, any bones, I would say, that ache. Brain power, that's good for brain fog. You would put that on your big toes or the back of your neck. Cedarwood oil is really good if you're in survival mode. You would put it on your female or male organs. Cardamom is really good for self-pity. You would put that on your hip bone. Citrus fresh is for not wanting to be here. It's just a room, you just want to get out of that room more than anything else in your body. That one you would rub over the pancreas. For forgiveness, forgiveness oil, you would use that for betrayal, and that you would put over the gallbladder. Harmony, you can use for sarcasm, and for that you would put on the brain. Hyssop is for swallowed emotions. That you rub right on the throat. Jasmine is for feeling unworthy. For that you put on the brainstem. Joy is for disappointment. That you put on the throat. Magnify your purpose is for having a victim attitude. You put that on your chest and on your brainstem and the back of your head. Oregano is for a fear of completion, being afraid to get to your next rank, being afraid that good things will happen to you or finish something you started that's very important. That you put across your forehead, always right to left. Peppermint is for a feeling of failure. That you're going to put over the thymus. For peace and calming oil, that's if you're feeling argumentative. That you're going to put on the thyroid. Sage is for letting go. That you put over the bladder. Tea tree is for feeling disempowered. You put on the T1 right on the back of the neck. Thieves is if you're feeling uncertain. For that, you put on the saliva gland VitaFlex points or take the Vitality oil internally. Valor is if you're feeling persecuted. For that one, you're going to put over the kidneys. Vetiver is for an overactive mind. You put that one around the eye. White fur or any fur is for feeling inadequate. That one you put at the top of the head. And ylang-ylang, which we trained on earlier, is for a fear of wisdom. That you put over the pituitary gland. So if that has not convinced you to go get Dr. Mean's book, I don't know what will. The entire book is a phenomenal read, and that is just a slice of it. So go snag it. But how do I know what to do, Sarah? Like, you just gave me all those oils and I've never even heard of using those in those places or doing that. Hey, the neat thing about emotions is that it really doesn't require a medical degree to figure it out. If you were to sit with a list of emotions like the one I just gave you and read through it for a few minutes, you likely would be able to pinpoint exactly what you're feeling. Sometimes we just need the words in print in front of us to be able to make that connection emotionally. With teenagers, it can be a bit difficult because it's going to show up as one emotion. Maybe it's disrespect, when what's really going on is that they're feeling inadequate or they're feeling insecure. So start dealing with the emotion that you think may be the root. And if you're not seeing a teenager calm down, try a different oil the next night. It's really trial and error. And honestly, that's perfectly okay. Oils don't come with a laundry list of side effects because they're not synthetically made. God knew what he was doing when he made the plants. So if you pick the wrong oil, no harm done, just move to the next one. There are no degrees required to love on your kids and their emotions with just a few drops of oil. I just had a teenager who was heartbroken last night, and I doused him in joy oil and orange oil. Orange is the oil of happy memories. So I put that all on him and VitaFlexed it into his spine, and he went to sleep soundly and woke up much better the next day. So how do you know when to use an oil for a specific emotion. Oils for emotions are definitely underused. So if you are experiencing something physical like a mild headache, it doesn't require a lot of thought. You break that oil out when you need it but an emotion is so abstract and you might not pick up on it right away. So here's what I'll tell you. You can feel when something is off. There might be tension in your home. There may be words spoken that are not usually spoken. There may be a level of anger or sarcasm that's unusual. So if I can't pinpoint the exact cause, but my family is being difficult, I like to open Dr. Mean's book and just start grasping at things that may be the root. Maybe it's hope. Maybe it's purpose. Maybe it's loneliness. Maybe it's a feeling of inadequacy. So if they let you apply the oil, go for it. I mean, some teenagers and some kids just love a back rub, but if not, be a sneaky diffuser user and put it in their diffuser in their room at night until they let you apply the oil. Some of the points on Dr. Mean's list above, or the thymus, you can't readily get to. And in that case, you'll put it on the VitaFlex point or directly over the organ outside the skin. I love to use oils in times of transition. So if you have a kid that's starting school or switching schools or trying new sports or new activities, if you have to switch churches or if you have to move or your schedule at work has changed, it's time to oil up because kids are creatures of routine and they do not do well when things change. They do not feel safe. So apply an oil on the back of the neck and it can make so much of a difference for them. Be in tune with them. I think the simplest answer that I can give you on when to use oils for emotions is to watch what's going on around you. With emotions, you really have to be intentional. We tend to live each day in survival mode. So we'll notice when a kid is upset or when a spouse is upset, or at the very least, link their frustration with a weird behavior hours or sometimes days after the actual issue has happened. But I want you to be a savvy oiler. You don't need to go that long with irritation in your home. Grab an oil first, get it on them, get it up their nose, or at least get it in the diffuser, and then sit down and talk through the situation because the oil alone may give you the space to speak. Purposeful, emotional oiling. Another exercise that I do a couple of times a year for emotional oiling is to grab Dr. Mean's book and use it on myself and my spouse, especially if I have a lot on my plate and I'm on overload, or if I'm noticing that I'm a bit of a SpongeBob grumpy pants. I always grab her book if I notice that there's fiery emotions in my home for more than a day or two in a row. Then it's not circumstantial, meaning it's not happening because of a bad day at work or a meanly spoken word. There may be something more under the surface. I would rather release it than have my body store it or deal with it later. So in that case, I'll look up the emotion, I'll be purposeful, I'll do a quick 3 or 7 day protocol of putting the needed oil directly on my skin where I'm told to in Dr. Mean's book, and then I diffuse it at night close to my bed. That quick tip is the key. Do not put the diffuser on the other side of the room. Ideally, you want it at or below eye level when you're lying down and less than 3 feet from your head. Oils rise. So if it's above you, like on a tall dresser, you might not even smell the oil. Also, avoid placing it near a fan or near an open window. I've had a lot of success diffusing some of our charged emotions by putting a calm over our house just by getting that diffuser on. So pro tip from a mom of 5, dealing with fiery kids. We have a lot of little tempers in my home with 4 out of my 5 kids being male. So you can also add testosterone to the mix, which means we escalate fast. And on top of that, I'm an extrovert. So that means my offspring are uber loud. And we have 4 loud kids and 1 sweet, soft introvert who gets pulled along for the ride. He is in the middle of a picture in the book, in the script book. So he gets sucked into their maniacal schemes all the time. And the energy between these boys can lead to some nervous tension and occasional fiery outbursts with little warning as my kids decide who has the largest muscles. So I once read that hyssop oil is good for clearing a charged emotion out of a room. I came back from a shift anchoring news and the emotions were in full play in our living room. So I slipped about 15 drops of hyssop in the diffuser and I flipped it on. And all I can say is go try it, because everybody walked away like they had just been given 2 extra hours of gaming time. I have no idea what the science is behind hyssop, but if you have boys, you are going to thank me later. So words of life. There's one last component to emotional release that I haven't touched on yet, and it's very important. It has to do with the spoken word. So whether you are working on an emotion, whenever you're working on an emotion, it's really important to focus on what counselors call your way out. Every emotion has an opposite emotion. Anger has joy. Frustration has peace. There are too many examples to list them all. So as you are applying the oil, picture in your mind what it feels like to be free of that emotion. Sometimes you're so lost in it that it's really hard to find a way out. A great book that I would recommend that's simple and compact is called Heal Your Body by Louise Hay. It gives you the way out so that you don't have to focus and dwell on it. So one example for anxiety, it says, if you're not trusting the flow and process of life, the way out is, I love and approve of myself. I trust the process of life. I am safe. Both books that I've referred to, Dr. Carolyn Mean and Louise Hay, are my go-tos for an all-around encyclopedia of emotions that I still need to figure out. So the concept of words of life, this is Carol Trueman's script. The concept of word, and that's her book that I just talked about. The concept of words of life is biblical. So Proverbs 15:4 says, gentle words bring life and health. A deceitful tongue crushes the spirit. So did you notice the words and health in the sentence? I did not say that your emotions are linked to your health. The Bible said it. Proverbs 16:24, kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body. Oh, there it is. Health linked to speech all over again in scripture. Proverbs 18:4 says a person's words can be life-giving water. Words of true wisdom are as refreshing as a bubbling brook. 1 Peter 3:10, if you want to enjoy life and see many happy days, keep your tongue from speaking evil and your lips from speaking lies. Did you see a pattern there? Repeatedly, God equates the way you feel with how you speak and how you're spoken to. I do realize that it can be really hard to get your head to a place where you can speak life over yourself, especially if you've been abused, beaten down, have lost hope, or forgotten who you are, son and daughter of the King. You are anointed, and it is time for you to speak life and to speak freedom over yourself. And remember, it might take many sessions, even if you're working with the oils at home. We've talked about physical application. So let's end by talking about your head, because half of what you do is mind step. There are mindset. There's a 4-step process that you can use to start. Number 1, identify the pattern that's linked to the emotion. So when my husband talks about my father, it makes me angry. Number 2, understand the opposite side of the emotion. My husband's dislike for my dad makes me tense. Number 3, discover the way out of the emotion. What is the opposite of tense? Think about that. And number 4, use the oils aromatically or topically, and then rinse and repeat. So, what's the opposite of tense? If you're not sure, go look it up in Carolyn Mean's book and start applying, like release oil on yourself. Dr. Benjamin Purkis's book titled The Aroma Freedom Technique takes you through emotions, and it offers another simple, topical and aromatic emotional release session that you can do to process stored trauma. You can check out his work at aromafreedom.com. So I hate to throw more books at you through the course of a single class, but I promise that if you have these 4 books, Carolyn Mean's book and this Carol Trueman, Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die, Aroma Freedom Technique, if you have these books, you really have a small emotional oils arsenal. Honestly, it's a full library of reference points and far more than I can teach you in a 1-hour class. I rarely need to go outside of these books for what I need. So the 4th and final book that I recommend for emotional release is Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die by Carol K. Trueman. So in these pages, she gives a few paragraphs that you can speak over yourself if you need the words to say, to emotionally release. So fill in the couple of lines before you start. She's got a wonderful emotional prayer of release that I love to pray over our family. So if you need the words, I'm sharing those words with you now. This is out of her book. I recommend that you go snag her book. So let's end by praying her prayer together over you. Dear Jesus, in the name of you, God, Jesus Christ, and my subconscious, my conscious, my heart, mind, will, nervous system, brain, RNA, DNA, and every genetic anomaly out of alignment with my pattern of perfection, please locate the origin of my conscious and subconscious destructive cellular memories, which cause the incorrect perceptions or feelings that created the thoughts, feelings, beliefs of. And you fill that in, feelings, beliefs of fear, of abandonment, of grief, right? Take each and every level, layer, area, and aspect of my being to these origins, analyze and resolve them perfectly with God the Father's truth. Come forward through all generations of time and eternity, healing every event and its appendages based on origins. Please do it according to God the Father's will until I am at the present, filled with light and truth and God's immanence and peace and love and benevolence and forgiveness of myself for my imperfect perceptions, having compassion for every person, place, circumstance, and event which contributed to any of these destructive cellular memories, feelings, thoughts, or beliefs. With total forgiveness and unconditional love, I ask that my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual memory of perfection resonate throughout my being. I choose being, and then you insert the feelings. I choose being joyful. I feel joyful. I am joyful. I am happy. I am kind. I am not negative, right? Whatever you need to fill in. It is done. It is healed. It is accomplished now. Thank you for coming to my aid, Lord, and for working together to help me rid my being of stress and to attain the full measure of my creation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, Jesus, and I praise you, God the Father, from whom all blessings flow. Now, all facets of my being, please put this scripting on automatic so it repeats itself through each and every cell and fiber of my being every half hour of every day for the next 180 days, or however long is best for me, thereby restoring perfectly healthy frequencies throughout my being and returning me to my original purpose, power, and magnificence. It is done. Amen. If you didn't like the word perfection in that prayer, people get upset about that. I just turned to Genesis 1:26, which says, and God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, meaning God was perfect. So when he designed you and he created you, before sin entered you, he made you in his likeness, which was perfect, without sin, white as snow, right? And that's what we want ourselves to return to. We want him to be in the image of God. So that's pretty powerful prayer, isn't it? You need to go get Carol Truman's book and go read it. All the emotional tools in one place. So believe it or not, that wraps up our full course on emotional release. I've given you words of life. We have done mindset training. I've given you Gary's protocol. We've talked about self-releasing. We've talked about assisted releasing. I've given you a prayer to pray over yourself and given you 4 resources of different books where you can turn to find the emotions and the oils and the places where you need to put these oils on your body. So you know where to get the feelings collection. You have Gary's protocol. You have the how. You have the why. You have the science. You have the words. Now, pause in the busy of your life and be consistent. Even if your consistency is a single oil on your big toes at bedtime, because you took the time to place some forgiveness oil at your bedside, you will define consistent based on what you can handle. So even if your consistency is 3 drops of release oil in the diffuser each night, or harmony or valor as you walk in the door from your day, you have done a great job. Even if your consistency looks like a prayer and a 10-minute release session twice a year with your spouse, even if your consistency is a one-time 30-day emotional boot camp using the protocols in the script with your teenager together or your best friend right before bed, even if the consistency is investing in you so that you can invest in others, snag one emotional release book and just start experimenting with the oils on yourself. Even in the small moments that you have to yourself, do whatever consistency looks like to you. The only mistake that you can make is leaving your oils on a shelf untouched. What if the minutes that you invest make all of the difference? You may be chasing 100 protocols or ignoring what's going on because it's too painful to process. Maybe the answer has simply been an oil in a bottle. So try it and play and see where it goes. And that wraps up our class, and we're going to finish it with a little DIY. And this is a cute one. It's only 30 seconds that I found on Young Living's website, and it's about emotions. So enjoy this. Magnesium, calming. Bam. There it is, a little DIY for you. And so that wraps up our feelings class. I hope this is a huge blessing to you guys. Let's talk about the apply it section. So this class is very deep, and I give you apply it tips at the very, very end of the class. This is one of the first collections that Gary put together on a specific topic after he started Young Living, because so much of what we feel physically is rooted in emotion. So if you don't own this collection and you aren't using these oils regularly, you are missing out on a side of your own healing, especially if you're not an emotional person. Gary studied emotions even before he studied frankincense and went on the frankincense trail. So if you're not sure where to start, begin by diffusing a single oil. That's the fastest way to get to your brain. We let our emotions explode around the people near us when really an oil in a diffuser may save many arguments. So let's look at the tools in your arsenal. For loyalty rewards ideas at 190 PV, I would recommend the Feelings collection, right? At 250 PV, these are some of my favorite emotional oils: Trauma Life, Brain Power, Magnify Your Purpose, Highest Potential, which was Gary's favorite oil of all time, Present Time. I also think it's a good idea to have grounding oil on hand during an emotional release. 3 Wise Men, Release, Inner Child, and Sarah. Sarah's very powerful. For 300 PV, you can think out of the box when using emotional oils. What about Abundance or Hope, Envision, Australian Blue, Awaken, Gathering, Gratitude, and Dream Catcher, both very powerful oils. So some action steps: do an emotional release session on yourself using that protocol from Gary. Do it every day for 30 days. Sit with your kids and do a mini raindrop with emotional oils at bedtime and see what happens. If you need a workaround for rose essential oil, try a little rose ointment. That's $20 and you still get the rose oil. And then do a feeling survey. It sounds weird, but it will get you using emotional oils more frequently. So for a week, take note of 3 emotions that you have every single day and write them down. Find a common theme. And then at bedtime, take an oil related to that emotion and put it in your diffuser and put it on your feet. It takes less than 2 minutes. Be sure to take note if you see that emotion less frequently. So for example, I found that when I'm under stress, I'm very short with my family. So I started putting Brain Power in the diffuser at night for a week when we had family members visiting. Wow, wowza. So we have been training out of the Game Plan Oils script book. It's a 4-book set. So this is the Oiler edition. I recommend you put that on your nightstand and just read it. There's 25 oils classes in it. This is the workbook. We're going to train on that on Thursday. I've been teaching out of the teacher's edition. See, I just pulled that one script out. I was teaching it right in front of you. We're going to get this PowerPoint up tonight or tomorrow so you guys are able to use it. And then there's a mini, and this mini markets you. So for just a moment, I'm going to pop into the mini because I'm not going to be on tomorrow night. We're going to do it in one session really quickly. I'm going to be helping my future daughter-in-law find her wedding dress tomorrow in Missouri. So I will be back Thursday for us to do the workbook, but tomorrow it's all about her. So there's 4 parts to the mini. There's remembering the class. There's a heart message where I just sit down with your oiler on a couch and say, this is why this topic matters so much. And then there's a little suggestion on what they can order to start using some of the tips from the class, and then some action steps. So let's go through a quick recap of remembering the class. No plant, it's only 2 pages, it's super short. No plant can live if the root is cut away, says Louise Hay in Heal Your Body. One of the most powerful uses of essential oils for the brain is for emotions. You don't want anything in your diffuser that you don't want in your brain. So diffusing oils into the air is the quickest and most direct route to the brain. Why? Well, oils molecules are smaller than viruses. That means they cross the blood-brain barrier and they have access to the limbic lobe of the brain, which is the emotional control center to the entire body. Here's another snippet from the class. The oils that come in the Feelings collection are Harmony, Forgiveness, Inner Child, Present Time, Release, and Valor. Gary Young said, when you are a child, all things are possible. There are no limitations. This is Gary Young's emotional release protocol. Valor on the soles of the feet, harmony on the spine and the crown of the head, forgiveness around the navel clockwise with the right hand, release under the tongue or over the liver vitaflex points, present time in clockwise circles in the palm of your hand, and then apply to the thymus, and inner child in the crown of the head. Our essential oils assist with emotional barriers. It's because the oils contain hundreds of constituents. Plants are much like people in the way that they deal with stress. They have to weather storms, bacteria, fungus, wind, flooding, droughts, insects. God created constituents to keep them safe, and they harness the same effect on human emotions. What happens when the body feels an intense emotion? Scientists tell us they can visibly see the emotion hit the brain like a pebble tossed into a lake. It's a physical effect to something emotional. The body takes protective measures with stored emotions all the time in the form of kidney stones, liver stones, gallstones. They are the buildup of toxic substances that can calcify into hardened stone or have a chemical reaction that encapsulates them into organs. And Gary Young says 99% of emotions are made from feelings. If you want your life to be guided by good decisions that lead to health, happiness, and fulfillment, you need to be aware of and in control of your present feelings and the feelings of the past. Do you struggle with negativity? This is a great life verse. Proverbs 18:4 says, a person's words can be life-giving water. Words of true wisdom are as refreshing as a bubbling brook. Sometimes we have to train our tongues the way that they should go, especially after we've been through great trauma. The good news is that emotions can be healed. So we're going to end with the heart message. This is the why behind the training. And this is what your people sitting in classes, coming to 101 classes, or that you want to get into a class, or a product user, a customer that hasn't shown up for class in a long time, I send these out to them to get their attention. So emotions are really rough to figure out, and they act like layers of an onion. You got to peel each one back to get rid of it. The one thing I found, though, is that this is the one place where essential oils really get to show off. If you're looking for a wow, that really worked moment, emotions are a great place to start. I use oils for stress, dealing with my kids' tantrums, clearing an angry room, applying them over the liver or heart of my grumpy teenager, in diffusers around the house when there's too many people, so I just don't like the amount of people in my house, and for processing major situations, like the night that my son was in a 60-mile-an-hour rollover crash and walked away with only a few cuts. I think that the oil did nothing, but then I look back at the emotion and it no longer seems like it was a really big deal. Things that I would have held on to for a long time seem less significant. It's because my body is processing them and pushing them out of my system. And that is a healthy way of handling emotions. Storing pain, fear, or anger is never a good thing. Start with the feelings collection and truly use it. If you're not sure what an oil does, then just take a good guess simply by looking at the bottle. Harmony is for getting along with people. It's for letting toxic emotions go. Valor is for bravery and courage. Forgiveness helps you to move on. Get the oils in the back of your neck, on your brain stem, on your earlobes, or the top insides of the ear. Those are the emotional Vitaflex points. Or on your feet and your hands, which have lots of nerve bundles, or over your heart, or over your liver. That's on the right side of your body, right at the bottom of your rib cage, or on your spine, or drop them on your hands and just take really deep breaths. Even simply breathing an oil right out of its bottle for 60 seconds can make a huge difference in how you handle a situation, and which words you say, and which thoughts you think, and how angry you become, and how you treat those around you. So try the oils. Sleep with the diffuser on each night and let them work while your body's detoxing and healing as you rest. Do the protocol that Gary mentioned. Release things that no longer serve you in a positive and progressive way so that you can move on to the things that the Lord has for you to do. And most importantly, take note of the changes. We never give oils credit for what they do unless we pause and take time to see that it's actually truly working. So when you see a change, you'll invest in the time to keep going and to keep learning and to keep oiling. It's worth the journey. It is worth the time to release. So I already gave you what to order, and I already gave you some action steps. Gary's emotion release. Make sure an emotional oil is in your bed when you go. Use your diffuser tonight. Make sure that you go to my website, oilabilityteam.com, and go to Scriptbook and collect all the free stuff from this page when we do the media launch for the Feelings Kit later this week, and engage in some additional reading on emotions. So Releasing Emotional Patterns by Dr. Carolyn Mean, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die by Carol Truman, Heal Your Body by Louise Hay, Aroma Freedom Technique by Dr. Benjamin Perkis, and Emotional Release with Essential Oils by Dr. David Stewart are all wonderful, wonderful places to start. So let me stop my share. I'm going to pop back over to my page. I hope you guys enjoyed that and that you enjoyed all of the different resources that came along with that book. There's so many wonderful things outside of this class that you can continue to do. We did that in an hour, guys. The whole thing. Like, you have an assisted release, you got all different kinds of things. So let me pick some winners, and I'm going to give away some minis. I'm just feeling like minis. Shelly says, the grief of losing my father has helped me to break into the Feelings Kit. Shelly Corbin, I'm going to send you 10 minis, friend. Janie Ruth Leak, I'm going to send you 10 minis. Let's see, who else? Carrie Padrini Pearson, I'm going to send you 10 minis. So you 3 are my winners tonight. No class tomorrow night because we did our mini tonight. I'm going to go enjoy some family time with my future daughter-in-law. And then I will be back on Thursday and we're going to do training on the workbook. So I pray that this is just a huge blessing and that the information is compact, it is tight. You can just pick up the script, rip and read, click on the PowerPoint. It's going to make you look good. We've had it all professionally designed. And I love you guys so much. If you are dealing with an emotion, go get Carolyn Means' book, look up the emotion and start putting the oils on your body because they are just phenomenal. I'm going to go do some dress shopping. I hope you guys have an amazing 48 hours and I will see you back. Same bat time, same bat channel. And we're really going to tear apart this class and do some heavy application on how to put the emotions class into practice. All right. I love you guys. You have a great night. And thank you so much for giving up your time and getting on with me. Please share this class with your teams, share the class with your leaders. They're going to get blessed by getting this training. And I'll see you guys back on Thursday. Next week, save the date. We're going to jump into class 110, which is the gut health class. It might be my favorite class in the entire book. So you do not want to miss that. The classes we have left are gut health, supplements, enzymes, Bloom Art and Savvy, which is the skin class, the hair class, the tooth class, hormones and oils, animal aromatherapy, massage, diffusers, seedlings, manly man, techniques class, including neuroauricular. And I'm going to show you hand technique, and there's no videos on that anywhere. How to make your own blends, the einkorn class, and then a tribute to our founder, D. Gary Young, who's just absolutely incredible. I miss him so much. And we would not have what we have today were it not for Gary. So a huge hug to Gary for all of his hard work. And I love you guys. And I'll see you in 48 hours. All right. Bye.